The disappearance of Brandon Swanson, the night he vanished into the dark. Brandon Victor Swanson was born on January 30th, 1989, in Marshall, Minnesota. He grew up in a close-knit, supportive family, the kind of home where kindness, responsibility, and hard work were part of everyday life. Brandon was known as a polite, thoughtful young man with a calm personality and a gentle sense of humor. Friends described him as dependable, easy to talk to, and always willing to help. Teachers remembered him as bright, focused, and determined. After graduating from Marshall High School in 2007, Brandon enrolled at Minnesota West Community and Technical College. He studied wind energy, a growing field in rural Minnesota, and he was excited about the future. He had plans, ambition, and a strong sense of direction. But on the night of May 14th, 2008, Brandon Swanson would take a wrong turn, one that led to one of the most haunting disappearances in modern American history. The night of the party. It was the last day of spring semester. Brandon had just finished his first year of college, and like many students, he wanted to celebrate. He drove from his hometown of Marshall to the nearby town of Canby, where some friends were hosting small gatherings. Throughout the evening, Brandon visited two different parties. Witnesses later said he had a few drinks, but nothing that suggested he was intoxicated or unable to drive. He seemed relaxed, happy, and in good spirits. Around midnight, Brandon decided to head home. The drive from Canby to Marshall was familiar. Long stretches of rural roads, open fields, and quiet farmland. But somewhere along the way, Brandon made a wrong turn. And that mistake would set off a chain of events that remain unexplained to this day. The car in the ditch. Just after midnight, Brandon's car veered off a gravel road and slid into a shallow ditch. The car wasn't damaged, and Brandon wasn't hurt. He tried to drive out, but the wheels spun uselessly in the soft ground. So he did what anyone would do. He called his parents. At 1:54 a.m., Brian and Annette Swanson woke to the sound of their son's voice. Brandon explained calmly that he had gone off the road but was fine. He told them he believed he was near the town of Lynn, a place he knew well. His parents got dressed, got in their truck, and drove out to pick him up. But when they arrived at the location Brandon described, he wasn't there. The phone call. Brandon stayed on the phone with his parents as they tried to find him. He sounded frustrated but not panicked. He told them he could see lights in the distance, lights he believed belonged to Lind. He said he would walk toward them while they tried to meet him. For the next 47 minutes, Brandon and his father stayed on the phone. They talked about school, about his plans for the summer, about normal things. Nothing in his voice suggested fear or danger. But then suddenly everything changed. As Brandon walked through the darkness, he said two final words. "Oh shit." A rustling sound followed, and then silence. The call remained connected, but Brandon never spoke again. The search begins. Brian and Annette drove frantically around the area, calling out for their son, hoping he had simply dropped the phone. But there was no sign of him, no movement, no voice, nothing. By morning, the police were notified. At first, they assumed Brandon had simply wandered off and would return, but his parents insisted something was wrong. They knew their son. They knew his voice, and they knew that the moment he said, "Oh shit," something had happened. Search teams were deployed. Volunteers, deputies, and local residents combed the fields. Helicopters flew overhead. Bloodhounds were brought in. The dogs picked up Brandon's scent and followed it for nearly 2 miles across fields, gravel roads, and grassy terrain. Eventually, the trail led to the edge of the Yellow Medicine River, and then it stopped. The river theory investigators believe Brandon may have fallen into the river. The banks were steep, the water cold, and the current strong. It seemed like a plausible explanation, but when the river was searched repeatedly, nothing was found. No clothing, no phone, no wallet, no body. And there was another problem. The dogs tracked his scent on both sides of the river, suggesting he may have crossed it. If Brandon made it across the river, where did he go? The drainage theory. The farmland around the area is filled with hidden hazards, drainage ditches, culverts, and deep, overgrown ravines. Some investigators believe Brandon may have fallen into one of these structures, becoming trapped or injured in a place nearly impossible to find. But despite extensive searches, no evidence has ever been discovered. The foul play theory. Some people believe Brandon may have encountered someone in the darkness, a stranger, a driver, or someone living nearby. But there is no evidence of a struggle, no signs of violence, and no indication that anyone else was involved. The truth is, no one knows what happened. A mystery that still haunts Minnesota. To this day, Brandon Swanson has never been found. No remains, no belongings, no clues. His disappearance led to the creation of Brandon's Law, which requires Minnesota police to begin immediate searches for missing adults, a direct result of the delays and skepticism his parents faced that night. Every year, search teams return to the fields, hoping to find something, anything, that could explain what happened to the young man who vanished while talking to his father. Brandon was 19 years old, and his final words still echo through one of America's most chilling mysteries. You've been watching True Case Files, real crimes, real mysteries. If you want more cases like this, subscribe and let me know which story you want to see next.